Alrighty, we are ready for SOL 8.9b, solving Pythagorean Theorem problems. Now, this is what you do when you have a right triangle and you're missing a side. So if you'll look, there's two options here. If you're given two legs, you have to solve for this hypotenuse over here. Okay, and the first thing I need to do is make sure I've got a pen, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to write. All right, so you got to make sure, whoops, sorry about that, that we're solving for the hypotenuse if you're given two legs. If that happens, the key, I like to say that so that you can remember, the key to solving for that side is this square root symbol down here. So you take the square root of leg squared plus leg squared. So let's come over here and we're going to do the key, which is the square root. And we're going to take the first leg squared, which was 12, plus the second leg squared, which was 5. And that gives us a hypotenuse of 13. Okay? And that makes sense because the hypotenuse should be the longest. Now let's look at this second example here. If you are already given the hypotenuse and a leg, you have to solve for a missing leg. Okay? Again, you're going to use the key. That key is the square root or the radical symbol. And when you are missing a leg and you have a hypotenuse and a leg, your hypotenuse, the longest side across from the right angle, has to go first, 10 squared. And this time we subtract the leg squared. And that gives us a leg of 8. Which makes sense because the hypotenuse is still the longest. So let's go through a couple of practice problems and see what we can find out, okay? So let me find my ribbon here and go to the next one. All right, that says, an observer is watching a bird from the ground as shown. So here's the bird, here's the observer, that's me looking at the bird, and here's your right angle. So we've got a right triangle here. What is the bird's distance from the ground, okay, in miles? How high is that bird? Round the distance to the nearest tenth. All right, well, if this is the right angle, then this is my hypotenuse over here. So I know I've got that. This has to be a leg, so I am missing a leg. So to solve that, you're going to need the key to solving for a missing length. You're going to put your hypotenuse first in this case, square it, and if you have a hypotenuse and a leg, you subtract. And then we're going to take the leg squared. So that means the bird is 1.5 miles from the ground because they wanted us to round to the nearest tenth. So the 7 told the 5 to go up 1. So that means that leg is 1.5. Does it make sense? Yes, the hypotenuse is still the longest. All right, this one is a right triangle, and it wants to know the length of GH. So this is what you're looking for. Well, that is the hypotenuse across from the right angle. So this time you've got two legs. When you have two legs, you use a key to find the missing length. Then you take your leg, square it, and you add your other leg squared. So that means that GH is 9 point, let's round to the nearest tenth. 6 makes that 5 go up to 6. 9.6 meters long. All right, so let's do another example. And it says a 7-foot ladder. Okay, when we don't have a picture, first thing to do is draw an L, then connect it, and make a right angle. There's your right triangle. Does not have to be perfect, but you've got it. A 7-foot ladder. So the ladder leans, so we're going to put that right here. The foot of the ladder is 2 feet away from the base. When they talk about the foot of something or the base, that means that side's at the bottom. And it says about how far up the wall Up means this side standing straight up is the top of the ladder. So we have a hypotenuse, we have a leg. So to solve that, we need a key. The hypotenuse squared goes first. Since we have a hypotenuse and a leg, we subtract. Then we do leg squared. So that means x is 6.7. And here it is, right here. 6.7 feet up that wall. Okay? The big thing here is to remember, when you have two legs, you add. When you have a hypotenuse and a leg, you subtract. All right. The size of a television is determined by the length of its diagonal. Whenever you see the word diagonal, that means corner to corner. It also means you've got a right triangle, okay? So when you're talking about a diagonal, oopsie, I did not mean to do that. You are talking about a right triangle, and I'm going to draw it right there, okay? What is the size of the television? It's telling you that you have to know the diagonal to know the size. Well, this is a rectangle. If this side's 21, this side's 21. If this side up here is 28, then this one down here is 28. And we're just going to look at this blue right triangle. Okay? We've got a leg and a leg looking for the hypotenuse. So you'll need a key. And then you're going to do leg squared, and they're both legs, so we add the other leg squared, and that means this is a 35-inch TV. I remember when that was huge, guys, and now that's a small TV today. Okay, let's see if we have any more to do. We do. We have one more. No picture, so what am I going to do? I'm going to draw an L, connect, and make a right angle. It is not beautiful, but it will work. Now let's fill in things. Maria's garden is shaped, like a rectangle. All right, they tricked me. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw that rectangle. The sides are 8, and they are 11. If she were to put up a fence along the diagonal, I knew that diagonal was going to be in there, to the nearest foot, how long would it be? So they want to know, how long is this diagonal? Well, let's just go back to using the same triangle I originally drew. That's going to work. Okay? If this is 8, this is 8. That means we have 2 legs and we're looking for the hypotenuse. Your diagonal will always be your hypotenuse. We're going to need a key to find that missing length. We're going to do leg squared. Since they're both legs, we're going to add 11 squared, and that means your hypotenuse is going to be 13 to the nearest foot. Uh-oh, I did that wrong. Got to round to the nearest foot. So 6 makes that 14 feet. Okay? As it said, to the nearest foot. So I had to use this 6 to push up that 3 and make it a 14. All right, I think that might be all of them. You guys can do this. I believe in you. All right, just keep working. If you have any questions, text us, call us, email us, come see us. We're here to help.